fans looking for action? Well, you'll get a big bang out of this.
Offshore races raise money for handicapped children. 200,000 fans watch Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix. A record-breaking attendance in Sarasota. 3 new world kilo speed records set in sportsman's class. Offshore mania sizzles in Sarasota. Today, Marine Machine takes us inside racing, where Brett May explains how racing technology helps develop products for all boaters. Midnight Express takes us behind the scenes, where television cameraman Tommy Brunstetter gives us tips on aerial photography. Laser Racing Engine presents Mechanics Corner. The crew of Merlin's Infinity shows us the unique design features in this prototype diesel-powered race boat. David Masters' featured race team series focuses on Eric's reality. We'll talk with the winning team of Charles Marks and Bobby Moore. Join us on a low-altitude, high-speed flight around the racecourse while we pursue these 100-mile-an-hour offshore missiles. All this and more on this edition of the Offshore Powerboat Race Report.
APBA, the American Powerboat Association. Its challenge, fun, and excitement. Whether it's unlimited hydroplanes, offshore, outboard hydros and runabouts, inboard or drag, the APBA offers 9 categories of excitement. Racing, officiating, and just plain spectating are a few of the many benefits APBA membership affords you. Send your $30 and join the APBA today.
Even though most people never need to use all the speed and performance Midnight Express is noted for, they like to know they could.
It's time to go on that Midnight Express. I ain't nothing less than the very best. On that Midnight Express. Just coming through.
Midnight Express. It takes one to catch one.
The fourth stop on the 1989 APBA OPT circuit is Sarasota. The annual Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix is one of the favorites of racers and fans alike, because Sarasota is an inviting vacation spot with its beautiful scenery, beaches, and many tourist attractions. Cultural attractions include the world-famous Ringling Art Museum. The Ringling Galleries are home to many art treasures and masterpieces. For 5 years, the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix Festival has brought fast boats to the Suncoast of Florida. But more important is that nearly $1 million has been raised for the Suncoast Foundation for Handicapped Children.
The Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix Festival is exciting and it's full of so much energy, but it is also full of a lot of love. Love for some very special children of the sun. And today, a very special building was dedicated for them. The Suncoast Foundation for Handicapped Children dedicated its 3rd building, a one-of-its-kind child evaluation center. The public was invited to take a look. As I said earlier, the major event tonight is the Parade of Boats along Main Street, and that gets underway at 7 o'clock. So if you're planning on being there, you better get going right after on its gas.
David Master presents the Featured Race Team Series, and today we'll visit with the men behind Eric's reality. Rookie race driver Charles Marks and veteran throttle man Bobby Moore talk about the strategy that has made them unbeatable.
I've been lucky enough to work with some of the better teams that we had better equipment sometimes, and that'll make a good throttle man itself, because you've got the advantage mechanically over. But you've also got to be able to conserve some of the equipment, and think about what you're doing, and know the equipment what the limitations would be on the equipment. I think that's probably the most important thing. And think about safety. It's easy to go out and run out front for a few minutes, but if your equipment don't last, or you spin out, or blow the boat over, or barrel roll it, you've not proved anything at all. You've got to be able to be consistent, and that's what I've tried to maintain over the years. And a lot of times you have an owner that's not a professional driver, that's just getting into a boat, and the last thing you want to do is take him out and frighten him so bad that he doesn't ever want to see a boat again. So I've been able to do that and help a lot of owners get established into racing, and that's been some fun too, to take a new person that's never raced before, that's just got in a position where he maybe had the time and the money to afford to go offshore racing, and put him in a boat, rig a boat out for him, and put him in it and throttle for him. That's satisfaction in itself. That's a lot of fun. I've done that with quite a few people.
I wouldn't really say that I'm an optimist, because an optimist tends to think that something will happen. I feel pretty well confident that what I'm doing, that I'm capable of doing. It doesn't feel much different than any other fast vehicle that I've been in. My basic philosophy, I guess, came about 10 years ago from a movie, Dirty Harry. And Clint Eastwood made a statement in that movie which I've always followed, and that is that man must know his own limitations. So I always try to keep myself within my limitations. So therefore, when I do things, I really don't have that much concern about them, because I feel that I'm functioning within my limitations. From the way that the boat is currently running, I see absolutely no reason why that we shouldn't win. So I intend to have the boat as the U.S. #1 boat by the end of the season. A lot of people go to the race to finish and hope that someone breaks down so that they can win. We're going to the race, and someone's going to be hoping that we break down so that they can win.
The day before the race, drivers attend a mandatory meeting where they learn the particulars of the race course. The helicopter pilots have a meeting of their own, and this ensures that they understand all the FAA rules and requirements that govern the race. With over 20 helicopters flying in extremely close airspace, cooperation is a must.
Of course, we'll be clockwise, and I want everybody to be going clockwise, never ever against the grain. You'll go on the race course. When you head north, you're on the northern side of the course.
The dry pits in Sarasota could have been renamed the damp pits, but all the rain in the world couldn't dampen the enthusiasm of the racers as they ready their boats for inspection. Giant cranes are used to launch many of the larger boats into the water. Other boats are simply launched from nearby boat ramps. By early morning race day, the skies have cleared for what promises to be a beautiful day for racing. Many race teams are making last-minute preparations on their boats. Others are busy familiarizing themselves with the course.
I started off doing it just for my father, and it just caught on. He liked them. They're fun to do.
I don't just like them, I love them. You know what it's like looking at lips at 100 miles an hour? It gives me a new sense of thrill, other than speed.
Keeps them excited. It's boring out there.
The themes of these race boats are as varied as the racers themselves. John D'Elia has a hobby of collecting owls. Hawk Marine Power shows off its famous logo. Lucky Strike displays a familiar color scheme. And while some boaters are patriotic, others are important. But all of the boats seem to be making some sort of statement, though some are harder to figure out than others.
The symbol of the elephant stepping on somebody is highly personal, but you can believe there's a woman behind it somewhere.
This race has commanded a lot of media attention. Local radio and television stations are broadcasting from the race site. IPI Sports has brought in their ace cameraman, Tommy Brunstetter. Jeff Girardi is on hand representing Freeze Frame Video. Premier race photographer Phil Lewis has his needle-nose race team on hand. And Babe Productions has assembled their team, led by action cameraman Brian Curl. All of these people have come together to bring you the best coverage possible of the 1989 Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix. We'll be right back with the start of the race after these messages.
Not all transom brackets are created equal. In fact, it can take 5 of theirs to equal 1 of ours. These days, everyone knows the installation of a transom bracket will improve both the looks and performance of your boat. The installation of a B bracket will prove you know better. B brackets, designed for those who know better.
There's a certain group of hard-working, hard-playing adventurers who take their recreation very seriously. They seek all the thrills and excitement life has to offer. The evidence of their enthusiasm for adventure is all around us in the form of the recreational vehicles they use in pursuit of a good time. Speedboats, glider planes, motorcycles, and jet skis. At last, the underwater adventure seeker comes into his own with the advent of Sports Sub. If you're one of the new breed and you're ready for the ultimate in underwater action, plunge into adventure in a Sports Sub. It's the personal submersible for the new frontier.
Welcome back to the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix from Sarasota. The race course is 26 miles long and has 10 turns. We expect a smooth course on checkpoints 1 through 6, which run on the inside, close to the beach. The water gets rougher on the outside leg of the course from checkpoints 6A to 8. The straightaways between checkpoints 6, 7, and 8 should be the site of the best drag races. Superboats and open class will run a 6-lap 155-mile course. UIM 2 and Pro Stock run 5 laps for 129 miles. Stock class runs 4 laps for a total of 103 miles.
Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix is brought to you on video by Babe Productions. We'll be covering the race from the water from our boat cameras at Checkpoint 2 and Checkpoint 6. Our point of view helicopter camera will be sweeping the course to show you the racing action from the air. Today's race has a good turnout in Superboat class. Jesse James has made its long-awaited return, running in its first race of the season. The boats lined up in the chute, getting on plane for the first start. We have a dozen boats at the first start, Half of them are superboats and half of them are in the open class. We've got to start. Lucky Strike pulls out fast, leaving Little Caesars Pizza, chairman of the board, and Hawk Marine Power behind. Jesse James is trying to catch up with the leaders. Maybe the prop wash from that low-flying helicopter is holding him back a little bit. Team Maxon from open class accelerates to a sizable lead over the entire field. Number 23, Maxon, is a prototype developed by Harry Wellman and Tim Kasuli. They feel safe at this speed because their boat has a full roll cage inside of it. It's similar to those found in the NASCAR race cars. Theoretically, a boat can disintegrate and the safety pod will be intact after the impact. They are showing us that they have the speed. The question is, do they have the endurance to run the entire race at this blistering pace? Superboat number 60, Charles Marks, in Eric's Reality, is trying to close the gap. Right now he's running about 110. It's a speed he can really feel comfortable with because this boat has the top end of around 140 miles an hour. We don't really know because he's never had to open it up. So far, his cruise control style of racing has left him undefeated in superboat class this year. It's early in the race and the rest of the field is within striking distance. Most of the racers are feeling out the course as they set up for a long day of drag race style racing. We can expect a lot of attrition today as many crews will be testing the limits of their equipment. Some teams will exceed those limitations, causing parts to twist and bend before they break. Our point of view helicopter camera takes us back to the starting line where the UIM-2 and Pro Stock boats have just made the second start. We always find a lot of racing in Pro Stock. Here we see Rick Felson in High Risk dueling it out with Toli Caligari in P75 Ocean Outboard. Both are 32-foot skater catamarans. Both boats run triple Mercuries. The High Risk runs 250s against the Ocean Outboard's 240s. Juan Sorales and Miss Don Q Rum leads Pro Stock class. The three leaders are only separated by a few hundred yards. As our point of view helicopter camera catches up to the open class boats, we see number 39, Sheer Delight. Sheer Delight is owned and driven by Edwin Sheer. His throttle man is David Fernandez. If this boat looks familiar, it's because it's Bob Kaiser's Die-Hard Systems catamaran. This boat has a consistent history of winning. It's a 38-foot Cougar powered by twin 750 horsepower Merc Cruiser engines and outdrive. This boat can easily do over 120 miles an hour. Right now it's running just over 100 as this rookie team gets used to this powerful machine. This is a wise strategy because this is the first time out for this race team. It will be interesting to see how they finish. Right now they are content just to work their way up the pack, moving up one boat at a time. It's always good to see new faces out here on the circuit. Edwin Sheer and David Fernandez and Sheer Delight are rookies, but they are handling this open class boat like a couple of pros. Good luck, guys. Scare of Wellcraft is the superboat that Don Johnson drove to the World Championship last year. Tom Gentry owns the boat. Piloting the boat is the championship crew of throttleman Bill Soroyas and driver Gus Anastasi. Jack Clark is navigator. These are all seasoned racing veterans who know how to run their equipment to the best of their advantage. So far, their savvy has put them in 4th place in national point standings for the year. The water conditions today favor the catamarans. This 46-foot B hull is more at home in rougher seas. The boat is running triple 900 horsepower Gentry engines with key caver outdrives. Soroyas and Anastasi are saving their equipment. They know they can't catch the cats in this flat water. This may tend to pay off in the long run because other drivers will tend to push their equipment till it breaks down. This boat is running at about 100 miles an hour and is very solid and stable at that speed. Wellcraft Scarab is currently in 6th place overall in this race. Our boat cam at turn 2 picks up the new superboat leader, Little Caesars Pizza. Jesse James is passing Lucky Strike for 2nd place in superboat. Eric's Reality is right behind in 4th place. Scarab Wellcraft moves up to 5th place as he passes Sheer Delight in open class. UIM-2 East Coast Marine is starting to show his speed. He's running 1st in his class. Agitator is 2nd in UIM-2 class. Hawk Marine Power is working his way up from the rear. American Dream is running in 3rd place in UIM-2 class. Team Skater is running in 4th. Only about 30 seconds separates each position in modified class. Our helicopter point of view has caught up with Hawk Marine Power. This is a 38-foot cigarette owned and throttled by Manny Fernandez. The driver is John Tomlinson. They are running this twin 750 horsepower Hawk inboards and Merc Cruiser outdrives. This boat has been running consistently all year and is in 4th place in national point standings. Agitator is a UIM-2 class racer. Alan Dutman is the driver and Kirk Dutman is on the throttles. This father and son team have been doing very well this year. They are in 2nd place and are running at an all-out charge trying to catch the leader, East Coast Marine. Agitator is currently tied with Team Skater in points for the UIM-2 North American Continental Championship. M5 East Coast Marine is the current leader in UIM-2 class. Boat's driver is Joe DeTore. Throttleman Joey Impressia is running at a blistering pace. The hull is a 32-foot superboat catamaran. It's powered by twin 665 horsepower Lightning Performance Buick engines. East Coast Marine is getting ready to overtake the Superboat class as they sizzle this race course running at 115 miles per hour. American Dream has just moved up into second place in UIM2 class, edging out Agitator for the number 2 spot. American Dream is owned and driven by P.D. Dalgo. The driver is Charlie Ortiz. This boat is the former World Championship boat, but it's had a disappointing year so far this year. The team needs a good finish to make a comeback in the national point standing. This 30-foot Shadow catamaran is the oldest hull on the circuit. American Dream is historically the most successful boat currently being campaigned. It has been campaigned in 2 different classes and has won the World Championship in both. This race team has developed and pioneered many of the safety features that are now in common use. American Dream was fitted with the first totally enclosed F-16 canopy system ever used in offshore racing. This boat is powered by twin 650 horsepower laser racing engines and Merc Cruiser outdrives. P.D. Dalgo is really pouring it on. He's trimmed out to maximize his tunnel and tries to catch the leader, Joey Imprescia in East Coast Marine. Earlier this week, American Dream ran up against East Coast Marine in the World Kilo Record races. East Coast Marine held the upper hand in that contest, beating American Dream by 3 miles an hour. We'd like to remind our viewers that in this race, like every race, we've made a seat available in our helicopter for an APBA medic. This space is donated in the name of the Mark Lavin Safety Foundation. Babe Productions is helping to make offshore a safe sport. Outside turn 6, we find some close racing action. Rick Felson in high risk and Juan Sorales and Miss Don Q Rum battle each other for top spot in pro stock. High risk is making a hard charge and Miss Don Q is holding him off. Miss Don Q Rum is a tough opponent. The Sorales brothers are showing us the style that has made him national points leader in pro stock this year. A win could really increase their lead in the standings. As we move up the course, we check in on the lead boats at checkpoint 2. Our boat cam at turn 2 confirms Little Caesars is still in the lead. Eric's Reality has moved up to second place. Lucky Strike is running a fast third place. Chairman of the board is leading in open class. East Coast Marine is 5th overall. Maxon is running in second place in open class. Agitator is running in second place in UIM2 class. American Dream is running in third place in UIM2, only seconds behind Agitator. Sheer Delight is making a smooth turn as Special Edition tries to overtake him from the outside. Here comes P45 Scaredy Cat. Number P99, Team Hydra, rips by in an effort to catch the leaders. Our helicopter point of view camera has caught up with Little Caesars Pizza. They're running on the long leg of the course between checkpoint 6 and checkpoint 7. Little Caesars Pizza is currently leading in Superboat class. This is a surprise since the flat water on the course tends to favor the catamarans. This 47-foot Apache V-hull is owned and driven by Peter Markey. The throttle man is Trace Martin and the navigator is Tom Hofstetter. The boat is currently in second place in the national points race behind Eric's Reality. Right now it's Eric's Reality who is running behind Little Caesars. Little Caesars Pizza runs triple 1,000 horsepower CNG Cobra engines and Keycaver outdrives. Some of the large deep V Apache powerboats have been running consistently at speeds over 110 miles an hour. These V-bottom speeds were unheard of just a few years ago. The way this boat is running, it is a tribute to the skill of its designers and engine builders, as well as the race crew. Peter Markey and Trace Martin have proven that they are a force to be reckoned with on the superboat circuit. Little Caesars Pizza has proven to be a very competitive race team. Our point of view helicopter camera takes us high over turn 6 where our boat cam picks up the leaders. Eric's Reality is in second place behind Little Caesars Pizza. Lucky Strike is in third place in a hot contest with the leaders.
We'll be returning to the race after our feature stories. Inside Racing is brought to you by Marine Machine, where the quality never stops. Custom hardware distributor Brett May gives us an inside look at how race technology benefits all boaters.
Racing applications are such an abusive environment out in the ocean that you really have to overkill the application, which on a production stock boat, it doesn't get that kind of abuse, so you can get away with a lot more. But basically, everything on a stock production boat, one time or another, was developed on an R&D on some kind of a racing application. It's like seat belts in a car, came from a race car. All these hydraulic steering systems we make were designed for race boats and have overlapped into the production market. And as far as glancing down at the gauges, all the gauges on the dash are cocked at a certain angle. So in other words, when those gauges are reading at their appropriate temperature, appropriate RPM, appropriate whatever, water pressure, all the needles are straight up and down. So you just look down for a split second, and if everything's straight up and down, you don't have to read it, it's 240 degrees or it's 6,000 RPM. It's straight up and down, it's close enough. Because you can't sit there and look at the gauges and watch the water and race a boat. All I can say is if the products are out there on the race circuit, there are competitive brands, there's competitive manufacturers, and if they weren't good, if they all weren't good, they wouldn't be out there. Because you cannot bluff your way in a professional racing situation. You can do it for a month or two, but you can't do it for 2 years.
Today, Midnight Express takes us behind the scenes with cameraman Tommy Brunstetter. Tommy describes the methods professionals use to capture the excitement of offshore for television.
Find it's easier to shoot a race without a mount?
Yes. A mount is very restrictive in the sense that you can only shoot out broadside. It's very tough to shoot down, front, back, and you're locked in there. You have no room. This way, if you get it on your shoulder, you can literally feel the front framing. You know, if you're sitting back and you have a bigger viewfinder, you can't get intimate. If I have that viewfinder right in my eye, it's literally an inch away and I can see every bit of that frame and literally feel it with my hand on the lens, because that's what I'm used to doing. Well, since there's so much material that we have to get, so many boats that we have to shoot, we have a list. So I try to do it in a series of events. I get the 3/4 rear first, wide. Then I go in for the stern drives to see how they're working. Then I'll slowly pull out, and then I'll ask the helicopter pilot to move up midships, and then move up 3/4 front. Then zoom in from there and get the co-pilot throttle and pilot. So it's pretty much a formula. It's just excitement. A friend of mine coined a term years ago, called it violent video. It's just getting out there and the thrill and the speed and being able to capture emotion on tape and translate that to the public and say, hey, I went out there, I'm having a good time, and I think I can translate that on tape and get them excited about what I get excited about every day. Just getting out there and documenting what's happening here. It's, you know, speed, women, you know, it's great. It's really great.
Catch the spray. Call today. Want to get involved? Participant, sponsor, spectator, or fan. Call today while you can. Buy a rig off the shelf or custom build one to your specifications. Offshore racing, inboard, outboard, diesel. It's yours for the asking. Catch the spray. Call today.
For dynamic racing action, don't miss our complete series. The Offshore Powerboat Racing Report is available at our video newsstands at each race site. Tapes for the current race are available for shipping within approximately 10 days of the race. Don't be left out. Order now. Visit our Babes video newsstand at the race site or call 305-386-1154 for more information. Mechanics Corner is brought to you by Laser Racing Engines. Today, let's meet the crew of Merlin's Infinity, and we'll learn about the unique design features being tested on this prototype diesel racer.
Well, we've got a 49.5-foot deep V stepped hull. It's got 3 Merlin diesel engines, 650 horsepower, triple turbocharged. What can I tell you? We've done up to 100 miles an hour. We're hoping for about 110, and this is going to be our first full race that we're doing here in Sarasota.
Originally, weight was a big factor with diesel. If you're going to run diesels, they were way too heavy, and the technology in the last 3 or 4 years has gotten them very light, and the horsepower almost equivalent to the gasoline engine. The longevity is much better. You should be able to run a whole season with the same pair of motors.
This particular boat has a propulsion system different from any on the circuit. In fact, it's what we call zero shaft angle. And as you can see, the propeller shafts are right at the very bottom of the boat. In fact, the shaft's laying right on the hull inside. Of course, it's supported by water bearing. And the idea behind all this is to get the propulsion to go straight push on the hull, where most of the other boats that use a straight shaft design have about a minimum of a 3 or 4 degree up angle. So what all that means is that the other boats are pushing the other boats, their drive systems pushing the boat not only forward but up at the same time, and essentially have lost energy. And so we're trying to recapture that 3 or 4% here. It's just a little more efficiency. There's been a number of attempts on zero shaft angle designs, but none of them thus far have been very successful, and we're working on it, and with our latest changes, we've got a reliable power transmission.
Welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the 5th annual Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix.
Our boat cam at checkpoint 6 shows us Eric's Reality is dead in the water. The boat has been down for some time and the leaders are starting to lap it. Little Caesar's Pizza is the first boat to completely lap Eric's Reality. East Coast Marine is right on his tail. Lucky Strike is now in second place in Superboat and third overall. Sheer Delight is in leader in open class. Wellcraft Scarab's strategy is paying off as they moved into third place. Babe's aerial team moves out to catch the leaders from helicopter point of view camera. Lucky Strike is within striking distance of Little Caesar's Pizza for first place. This boat is a 47-foot Apache V-hull running triple 800 horsepower CNG Cobra engines. Little Caesar's has them outpowered by 600 horsepower. Lucky Strike is trimmed out and trying to get more of its hull out of the water to pick up some extra speed. Lucky Strike is driven by Phil Mashinsky and throttled by Jeff Millinghouse. Bud Millinghouse is the navigator. Lucky Strike was previously named the PTM Express. Phil Mashinsky picked up a new sponsor and has renamed the boat Lucky Strike. The boat is currently in 5th place in the national point standing, and a win here in Sarasota could go a long way towards improving his point standings. Lucky Strike is starting to overtake some of the stock boats now. Here we see a Salt Race team open up this 25-foot motion catamaran. Coming into the turn, we see John D'Elia in US 1 Special Edition. Special Edition had some problems with their fuel system last race and had to catch up 7 minutes they lost at the start. It looks like the open boats have had a hard time catching this Special Edition this race as he screams by doing 110 miles an hour. Maxon has slowed down the pace since they smoked everybody at the starting line. Maxon is a 35-foot TDC racing catamaran. It's powered by twin 800 horsepower Maxon motion engines. Maxon is owned and driven by Tim Casuli and throttled by Harry Wellman. This boat is a prototype hull developed by Harry Wellman and Tim Casuli. The team has worked on this project for over a year, and the boat put on a good show at the start of the race. Right now, they seem to be down on their power. They are slowing down even more now and are about to pull off the race course. Just ahead, Special Edition is down in the water with smoke coming out of his engine. It looks like John D'Elia is out of the race. But you never know. He's been known to make a comeback or two in his time. Within seconds of each other, we have seen two of the top contenders in open class break down. This flat water is starting to take its toll. Drivers push their equipment harder because the calm water doesn't force them to slow down. We catch up to some more racing action in the stockboat class. Here's Main Attraction and Conch Attack team going at it. Conch Attack is making their move on the inside. As you might have guessed by their name, Conch Attack is from Key West. Conch Attack is driven by Scott Cates and throttled by his brother Craig. It's a 24-foot skater catamaran powered by twin 200 horsepower Mercury engines. These skater catamarans have been taking over offshore class by class and have a very impressive record. Conch Attack is in 5th place in national point standing and is running a strong race here today. Conch Attack is currently the leader in stock class. Way to go, guys! Stock class has a lot of exciting racing action going on today. Number S12, Thin Ice, is trying to maintain his lead over Ravon. Thin Ice is driven by Bob Beasley and throttled by Steve Skorupski. They are running a smooth race in their 24-foot skater. Ravon is making a powerful move on the outside and is blown by Thin Ice. Ravon is tearing up the race course at a record pace. Ravon is a 25-foot Talon catamaran powered by twin 200 Mercury outboards. As you can see, this is a really competitive race crew. With so many boats running similar hulls and equipment, that competitive edge is what sometimes makes or breaks a winner. Ravon is owned and throttled by Milford Ingemort. Peter Fuchs is the driver. Right now they're using every bit of concentration they have trying to catch the leader in Conch Attack. Right now, Ravon is running in 2nd place in the race. Our helicopter point of view camera takes us high over the end of the race course between checkpoint 6 and checkpoint 6A to measure the action on the race course. We are now back to what continues to be the hottest race of the day. High Risk and Miss Don Q Rum are fighting it out for the top spot in Pro Stock. They have swapped the lead several times throughout the race. Rick Felsen has won the slugging match for the time being. It's a contest that will continue right down to the finish line. Scarab Wellcraft looks like they've slowed down. They might be experiencing some mechanical problems. Moving ahead to our boat cam at checkpoint 2, we find the leaders. Lucky Strike moved into first place in Superboat class. Little Caesars is running a close second. Here comes Hat Trick from the stock class. S99 Skater Express is right on his tail. In a surprise move, we find Eric's Reality has rejoined the race. He has a lot of time to make up because the leaders are a whole lap ahead of him. Ocean Outboard is down on power, but still is in the running. S1, the Bermuda race team, is running in the top 5 stock class boats. Assault is in hot pursuit. Sheer Delight is moving along at a steady pace. He's now running in first place in open class. Eastern Express has just moved up to second place in UIM2. M66 Special Edition follows closely in third place in UIM2 class. Hawk Marine Power is now in second place in open class. P26 Talon Comp 37 is running strong in third place in Pro Stock. It looks like Team Skater is having difficulties. He is now in fourth place in his class. Back up in our helicopter point of view camera, we see Team Hydra. Team Hydra is driven by Ed Jones and throttled by Greg Young. This 32-foot Hydra Tech catamaran is in the same make that won the 1988 Pro Stock World Championship. In a class that has been dominated by the Skater for many years, Hydra Tech is starting to look competitive. Team Hydra is powered by triple 250 horsepower Mercury outboards. This race team is trying to catch up with the Pro Stock leaders. Right now, Team Hydra is running in fifth place behind High Risk, Miss Don Q Rum, Talon Comp 37, and Scaredy Cat. Lucky Strike is up ahead, stretching his lead over the rest of the superboats. We are back with Eric's Reality. This is a 48-foot Cougar catamaran. It's owned and driven by Charles Marks and throttled by Bobby Moore. Eric's Reality is powered by 4 850 horsepower Gentry American Eagle engines. This boat has been undefeated so far this year and is currently in first place in national point standings. Earlier we saw this boat was dead in the water and we thought the race was over for Charles Marks. Whatever the problem was, it seems to be corrected now. We're going 120 in our helicopter, and we can't catch up to the boat. This is a rare sight. Bobby Moore is really opening this boat up. Bobby's racing style is usually very laid back. He often teases his opponents, letting them catch up, then toying with them. After he measures them up, he usually will speed up and blow them off to take the heart out of them. He's never had to open this boat up more than 3/4 of the way. After losing so much speed with a fouled water intake, he's had to really go for it. It's doubtful there will be enough time in the race for him to make up all of the time he's lost. Right now he's gaining on Lucky Strike. Eric's Reality is out to prove once and for all who's got the fastest boat on the course. This has really been an incredible display of speed and power. Charles Marks has come from many miles behind to attempt to overtake the leader in this lap. There's no point in saving the equipment now. It's all or nothing for Eric's Reality. Although they may not catch up on the time they've missed, Charles Marks and Bobby Moore have left no doubt who has the fastest boat out here. Eric's Reality has just left Lucky Strike eating his weight. 120 miles an hour is our airspeed, and we're starting to lose him. There's really no way of telling how fast that boat's going right now. We'd like to remind our viewers that if you have any good photos, race stories, or videos, send them to Babe. She wants to put them in her show. Give her a call at 386-1154 in Miami. That's fun, 1154 in Miami. We want to hear from you, so give us a call. You too can be a Babe reporter. The spectators have filled the course and lined the beaches to cheer on these racers. The racers appreciate the enthusiasm and are putting a great show on for the crowd here in Sarasota. Back on the course in stock class, it's S54 Vigilante Racing trying to catch up to Skater Express. Skater Express is running in third place in stock class. The boat is driven by Joe Jacobson and throttled by Chip Hackman. They are running twin 200 horsepower Mercury outboards on this 24-foot skater catamaran. Skater Express is running first in national point standings in stock class. Vigilante Racing is owned and driven by Michael Moritz. The throttle man is George Peterson. Vigilante Racing is in fourth place in stock class. Number S1, the Bermuda race team, is running in seventh place in stock class. The boat was the national high points champion last year. This is a 24-foot skater catamaran running twin 200 horsepower Mercury outboards. The boat is owned and throttled by Derek Simmons. Anthony Stoneham is the driver. This race team comes from Bermuda and makes a good show at every race. Right now they're getting this skater to maximize its tunnel, trying to pick up enough speed to catch up with the assault boat. We are with S125 Assault. This race team is really letting it all hang out. It looks like that's what's keeping them in front. They're showing great form as they maintain their lead over the Bermuda race team. Peter Rivera is driving and Bob Galen is the throttle man. Our boat cam at checkpoint 6 has picked up the leaders as they head out onto the long leg of the course. Lucky Strike holds the lead in superboats. Sheer Delight is the leader in open class. Little Caesars is trying to move up in second place in superboats. Eric's Reality is in third place in Superboats, but is still a whole lap behind. Hawk Marine Power is in second place in open class. Wildcraft Scarab is down on power but continues to limp by. This race team has a lot of heart. Our helicopter point of view camera has caught up with Superboat leader Lucky Strike. Phil Mashinsky is running a solid lead and victory is close at hand. The lead has changed many times today, but the surprise is how well the V-bottoms have done in this race. The conditions were perfect for the catamarans, but the cats seem to have gone for it too hard. In Superboat, Lucky Strike has held off Little Caesars, even though Charles Marks and Bobby Moore have made up an incredible amount of time. It won't be quite enough. In open class, Sheer Delight showed us a well-planned strategy. Conservative and safe, it paid off with a first. Hawk Marine Power showed us that V-bottoms are reliable war machines. Special Edition lasted long enough to take a third. UIM2 class is the Joey and Precious show. East Coast Marine will take a flag with 106 mile-an-hour average speed. That's the fastest course speed in any class today. In Pro Stock, it was a showdown between High Risk and Miss Don Q Rum. High Risk will take the flag today. Stock class was dominated by Conch Attack from the start. Rave On and Skater Express gave him a good run for the money. We see that Lucky Strike gives us a thumbs up. He's sure of his own impending victory. Back at checkpoint 6, we see the boats that have not caught up. There will be no checkered flags for these boats. Talon Comp 37 is in third place in Pro Stock. Eric's Reality put on a great fight, but will be coming in third.
Wow, what an exciting race. Let's take a look at the finals while the winners pick up their flags.
The winners are Superboat, Lucky Strike, Little Caesars, and Eric's Reality. Open class, Sheer Delight, Hawk Marine Power, and Special Edition. UIM2, East Coast Marine, Eastern Express, and Special Edition. Pro Stock, High Risk, Miss Don Q Rum, and Talon Comp 37. Stock class, Conch Attack, Rave On, and Skater Express.
Babe Productions would like to thank the APBA OPT and the Suncoast Offshore Racing Association for helping us bring you the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix on video. We hope you've enjoyed the race and that you'll continue to follow the offshore action throughout the year. We'd like to remind our viewers that Babe Productions is the only video company officially sanctioned by the APBA. We'll be bringing the excitement of every race on the APBA OPT circuit right into your home with 11 editions of the Offshore Powerboat Race Report. You can keep up with the racing action all year long. Remember, the next checkered flag is just one tape away.